Megacast TV, your channel of choice. Please like, share, and subscribe.
Hello, it's only me, and welcome to another edition of Megacast TV. It's been a while. It's been a long time, actually. But had a little call this evening from the old Wilding. She seems to have found a mojo a bit, at least for now, anyway. So I'm joined by my co-host extraordinaire, the lovely Trace. Good evening. Hello, Trace.
Good evening, my darling, and how are you? It has been a while. I have missed you heaps, but I've been in bed poorly, but it's all good. You know, what do they say? Don't let the bees get you down. So that's what I'm doing. So good morning, good afternoon, and a very good evening, guys, wherever you are out there joining us from on the World Wide Web. And you're with me, Trace and Jake, and hopefully it'll be a good one.
Yes, hopefully. So we decided, well, we were just chatting about what we were going to do, weren't we, this evening? And we thought, let's talk about COVID, just for a change.
Yep.
Like, not enough people are talking about COVID.
Well, I don't think we've really discussed it to any degree, though. So, I like your take on things. We
had that session with Steve, didn't we? About the jab.
Oh, yeah, that was a long time ago, though, that. We haven't really discussed, our own personal views on it and what we think, we like to set the world to right. A bit of like old YFF tonight, I think.
Yeah, I'm a bit disappointed because I heard tonight that the co-op and Iceland are not going to be making the masks in their store compulsory. So they're not gonna challenge mask wearing if you're not wearing a mask at all.
That's just madness.
I know.
Do they not realise what this strain is capable of? I mean, everybody's so bizarre about it.
The thing is, there's controversy flying about all over the place because the rumour has it that not enough people are taking up the booster jab.
Right. Have you had yours?
No, I'm going for it on the 16th of December.
Right. I had mine last Saturday.
I made an appointment and then forgot, so I didn't go.
Okay. It happens. I would have done that.
But so the conspiracy is that they've mutated this new strain to make people go and get their boosters. What do you think about that then?
I don't know because I've been really thinking that myself. I haven't said anything, and I followed the crowd, which is unusual for me, as you know. I mean, if I'd have been on my own, living on my own, yeah, I don't think I would have done the booster.
Did you not?
No. But because I've got Mark, with him having COPD and it being a respiratory condition, I can't be selfish. Because for me, Jake, with being a recluse, I don't really go anywhere anyway. So I'm not really at risk to any degree. But then I suppose Mike or Aaron could bring it in with them working.
Exactly.
But I meant to the general public. Now, if I was out working, I wouldn't be selfish. I would have the booster because it's not just about protecting me. It's about protecting other people out there. And I'm quite, as you know, I like to play things forward. If I can help another human being, then I would, because I don't know if Joe Bloggs, who's next to me in the queue, has got a condition I don't know about that would make him very poorly, and I wouldn't want his family to lose him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm very much with you on that note. I think even though sort of everything calmed down, Lee and I were both still wearing masks while we were out and about when we felt it necessary.
Me and Mark's never stopped.
No.
If we go nip out for the odd time, like we need to get a prescription quick or whatever, or down to the doctors, the minute we leave the car, we put our masks on in the car, and then we take them off when we get back to the car. We've got hand sanitizer in the car. We hand sanitize and trolley sanitize the minute we get to the shops. We have definitely done our part in not just protecting ourselves, but trying to protect everybody else. But I've been shocked because we've gone in Tesco's to their chemist. There hasn't been one person wearing a face mask, not one person using the hygiene station or, you know, the disinfectant, whatever you want to call it. And I'm thinking, you people for real, haven't we lost enough people? Haven't enough families had grief? Why can't we just do the big, what harm does it cause for you to put a mask on just to help a fellow man out there? It's not asking for the world, is it? Just to put a mask on, or just to stand a little bit further back in the queue than you would have done?
It's always been about that for me. As you know, I don't go very far mainly because I've been shielding, not because I've been told to shield, but because I've chosen to shield in order to protect myself.
Well, yeah, and we were told to shield,
Yeah.
and we were shielding for, I think it was like, it was crazy amount of months.
Yeah.
I mean, at one point, Mark had to shield because he's clinically vulnerable, extremely vulnerable. He was only allowed a window open. He wasn't even outside the back door at one point. I mean, then they got lifted, but it became such a habitual habit for us to do that.
I think, and this is something else that we could discuss, because I mean, the people who are either working from home or have been working from home, or, you know, aren't key workers, you know, people are talking about how much weight people have put on, and we had a conversation the other day, didn't we? And I literally walked from my lounge into the kitchen, which is a matter of feet, got myself a drink, and when I got back to the chair, I was out of breath. And this is another downside of...
It's scary, isn't it? Because we've both been saying how scared we are that our fitness levels have gone to like nothing. I mean, I had a fear of going out in public anyway, so the COVID has made my fear a lot more real. So I'm not doing a lot either. It's very rare I even leave the bedroom, knowing that I've still got two in the house that are going out to work, because I still have the fear of them bringing it back. So my reclusism has gone back to my bedroom. So I am like you. If I do anything over exertion, like even a bit of hoovering, it's like I've run a marathon. You know, like when you've run and you stop and you're out of breath and your throat's actually burning because you're out of breath. I can get that just pushing a hoover. It's terrifying, because I think if I get COVID and I'm this unfit, what chances am I going to have?
Exactly. And you're stuck now because, well, I'm stuck now because the more I exercise, the more pain I'm in. And I was in pain before, but not as much as I am now. And so the pain's stopping me from exercising. I'm talking about a walk, not a, you know, not a run or anything. And so I'm not going anywhere now, because if I go anywhere, unless I go on the scooter, it's just too painful. Lee and I went to Skegness after lockdown finished, and I felt so awful because I spent most of the day having to sit down every 10 minutes because I couldn't physically
do it.
Manage to walk very far for very long.
And that's scary because you're still at quite a young age. You know, you're in your, you know, great years.
Yeah.
So you shouldn't be dealing with this at all. But that's like you said, you pack the weight on, your muscles get weak. Then the excess weight makes it harder, because I'm the same. It's only in the last 6 weeks, actually, Jake, with me having this gallbladder problem, I've gone from 11 stone 3, which was too heavy for my frame, down to 7 stone 14. And I'm now coping better than I was. But I've really, we're going to have to work to get our fitness levels up. Even we've both got treadmills. So it's going to be a case of 5 minutes and building it up. 5 minutes for 1 week. We've got to do it, babe. Otherwise, we're going to have no life.
I haven't got the treadmill anymore. We gave it away because we were getting this chair. We didn't have room for the treadmill.
Did you get one of them? I thought you said from the shopping channel you got one of them Viber plates. No, it wasn't you. I thought it was you.
We did have one a few years back.
Well, they brought the new ones out now, and you can even sit in your chair and just put your feet on. So that would still be working your muscles.
Yeah.
So it might, because with you having no mobility at all, I mean, mine's limited, but I have got some, whereas you haven't got any. It might be worth you having a look at the shopping channel and getting one of their Viber plates.
I
You're
don't
going to
know.
have to start doing it, Jake. Otherwise, you're going to lose everything and you're going to be bedbound.
Well, with the attack theory, it was always going to be that I was going to be in a wheelchair within the next 10 years anyway. So all this is doing.
COVID's just forwarded that like tenfold.
Yeah.
But how many others out there, guys? If you're out there suffering like this, or you've got issues, and you found the COVID as multiplied then, because we're not just talking physical either here, mentally. Like I said, I'm struggling to leave my bedroom out of, the fear of what's out there. Will I get it? Because it's not only if you get it, it's kind of a bingo lottery if you do get it, because until your body gets it, you don't know how badly you're going to react to it.
Yeah.
And that's the most terrifying thing. If they could say, well, you're going to get it now, you've had your boosters and that, and it's just going to be like a mild flu. But they never know until you get it to whether you're going to be one of the unlucky ones.
Lee meets a friend on a Friday. She's also called Tracy. And when I can, I like to go with them. And our Tesco, because that's where they shop, our friend shops, is on a sort of industrial estate with lots of other shops around here, a bit like yours,
yeah,
a bit like your Tesco is.
Yeah.
And they often go around B&M first, so they'll have a walk around B&M and then they go to Tesco's. They have a cup of coffee in the cafe, maybe a bite to eat in the cafe, and then they go and shop around Tesco's. Well, I thought I'd make it, because I don't see Tracy that often, and I haven't really seen her because of COVID and all that's been going on for the last 12 months. So I thought I'd make an effort, and I thought I'd go shopping with them. And I was on the scooter, so I made my way down there on the scooter. Tracy, our friend, I'm sure she won't mind me saying, struggles now mentally with public transport, with being out alone.
Yeah, so many are, Jake. So many are.
And so I got halfway around B&M, and because I was on the scooter, I was in the way. People were having to sort of maneuver around me, and I just felt like I was out of my depth.
Yeah.
And so I said to them, we got halfway in, and I said to them, I'm going outside, I can't cope with it. Plus it was busy because it's running up to Christmas. And I said, I'm going outside, I can't cope with this. And it was almost like a panic that I just needed to get out of the shop.
Yeah, it's like a sensory overload, because you've been so used to being on your own in the quiet, and you've done that for months. Then it becomes difficult because you've got to learn new behaviours again. And this is what I'm saying. It's made us all a little bit more antisocial and a little bit more nervous. It's brought all the bad traits out, hasn't it, in society?
We went to see Josie, the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat, an amateur production at the local theatre a couple of weeks back. And we were on the front row. And the stage, I mean, you literally can touch the actors from the front row. That's how cosy this theatre is. And I sat there, and I had tears streaming down my face, Trace, because I was just so emotional about being in a public place, being in public, being in a theatre. I was literally, I mean, it's a good job the music was played. And God knows what the actors on stage must have thought. I had my mask on, which, by the way, I was the only person that did.
Really?
And it's a small theatre. It only holds 200 people.
But if it's small, that means it could spread really easy.
And I thought, I thought the actors must be looking at me on the front row thinking, what the fuck's up with
Maybe they thought you thought they were fabulous and you were just overwhelmed with their fabulousness.
But it was just such an emotional, at that point, it was just such an emotional feeling to be out. Not only out, but in a theatre, watching a production after all this time.
It's crazy. It's crazy what it's done to us, both mentally and physically. And I'm sure we're not the only ones. But what's your views on Boris as well? Like at the very beginning to now, what's your views on him?
I personally can't fault Boris. I think he's done a good job. I think he's done, from the beginning, he's done what he can, when he can, to the best of his ability. Bear in mind that we've had no pandemic like this. Well, we have. It was something like the 1500s or 1600s or something in Victorian times.
Right.
And that was the last time we had anything like this. So there's no protocols in place on what would happen if this should come around. Do you know what I mean? So what he's done is he's used his head and he's done what he thought was best. Not always the right thing, I have to admit, but he's done what he thought was best. And the amount of people after lockdown finished that aren't wearing masks is just unbelievable. I don't know about anybody else, right? But I get a cough. For the last 10 years, I've had a cough every year. For the last 10 years, right? I haven't had a cough while we've been through COVID.
No, and the flu rate came right down, didn't it? And flu normally kills a lot of people over the years. So it just goes to show it is a good thing, I think. You know, I'd quite happily do it all the time. It wouldn't bother me. And I don't think I'm going to change even when it does. I think I'll stay doing that because I feel a lot safer in my own bubble than that. Now, for me with Boris, I loved him at the beginning. I thought he was fabulous. Now I think he's been under so much pressure and nobody's listened to him. He's just thrown his hands up and sort of said, well, get on with it now. Because I think he just seems to have he's not the leader anymore. He's just bumbling along now, in my eyes. Now, what I don't understand, I'm not a politician and I don't know anything as such like they do. But last year, he made the mistake of letting everybody go abroad for the holidays rather than saying, okay, you know, I'm going to let you out. I know you've been locked up, but let's stay at home this year. Let's help our own hospitality, our own country, get behind our own businesses, and then we don't risk bringing anything back. But no, he let them all go abroad, and then the Delta came in. This year, he did exactly the same. Even though we had a harsh lockdown November, December, you'd have thought he'd have learned. This year, he could have done exactly the same, said, right, we're staying at home. You guys, you can go on holiday. I'm not stopping you. Stay in our own country, build our own economy back, help our own, because you've got to help your own first. And this year, what's happened? They've gone abroad. We've got the Omicron version this time. Wouldn't it have been far better, shouldn't you have learned from last year with the Delta, not to do the holidays this year? And then we wouldn't be in all this trouble once again. I mean, like I said, I'm not a politician, but it makes sense for me. We'd be helping our own economies. We'd be stopping in our own hotels that are desperate. Some of these people are on the breadline. They're not even going to make it. And they've worked hard, you know, in the country to keep themselves going. Bed and breakfast, hotels, theatres. You know, we could have done it at home and kept ourselves in a little bubble and we would have been safer. Australia, New Zealand, they've been doing it. They've been a lot safer. They've been getting through this pandemic nearly normal. He is so soft when it comes to giving in to things. That's what's frustrating for me with him. And again, now he's dilly-dallying. He's holding his feet. Sage, there was some paperwork leaked today, and Sage says he should be taking this really, really seriously and, you know, putting some measures in place now, like the plan B. Wear the mask, social distance, work from home if you can. No, he's put the masks in. We've gone now from 3 cases to 8 in a few days. What's it going to be like in a month?
My own personal opinion on that is that we have just come through a major pandemic. There are people in England or the UK that haven't seen their families and friends for a long time. And I haven't hardly seen my dad. I can count on one hand the amount of times I've seen him in the last 2 years. We are a very multicultural country, and people are not only going abroad for holidays, they're going abroad to see their families because they haven't seen them for 2 years. That's a long time.
I know, with my son being in New Zealand, but surely keep crossing over. The longer we keep doing this, the more rife we're spreading throughout the world. If we just stuck to our own countries for a year or two, maybe we could get this to die down a bit.
But then people wouldn't have seen their parents and their grandparents. And
I suppose time's short, isn't it? When you're in that sort of...
Yeah,
I get that. Or maybe then, rather than it being holidays and people just jet setting off for the sake of it, maybe if he'd have just said, if it's family matters, then that's a different kettle of fish.
But then you're going to get people going, oh, I'm going to see my family. How can you prove that? You know, you can't really... You can't really police that, can you?
No, I suppose not. I suppose it's hard, isn't it? But do you get where I'm coming from, though? Last year we got the Delta after the summer holidays. This year we've got the Omicron. And it seems to be the minute everybody starts flying out, we start getting stuff back. And how many times can we keep getting these mutations before we're going to end up in trouble again and back to square one?
You know what else I find bizarre? This is going to be really controversial because Mutsi Mabuse, who is a judge on Strictly Come Dancing, she is also part German.
Right.
So she's been doing the German version of Strictly Come Dancing as well as the English version. All right.
Right.
She's been flying backwards and forwards for work, right, from England to the UK. While she was in
UK, you mean from
Germany to the UK.
Yeah.
While she was in Germany, she had her COVID jabs. She's come back to the UK and she's been pinged by Test and Trace. Technically, she should be allowed to continue about her everyday life because that was the law. That was what people were doing then. If you had your jabs, you're fine. You can do whatever you like. But because her jabs were done in Germany, the English government doesn't recognise the German jabs, so she's had to isolate.
Well, what's the point of having the jabs worldwide then, if that's going to happen? If you've had them, haven't you? It shouldn't matter which country you're in.
Shall I tell you something even crazier?
What?
My cousin, I don't know if it was a husband, and she's probably going to be watching this because it's our Gail.
Right? Hello, Gail.
Hello, our Gail. Her, I don't know if it's someone she knows or whether it's a partner or what, but she spoke to me about this particular case. This guy is from England, but he travels around the country, and he's been doing some work in Scotland in a care home, and the nurses in the care home have said to him, "We've got some spare jabs here. Do you want your booster, or do you want your jabs?" So he said, "Yeah, I'll have my jabs, thank you." Come back to England. He's a carer, right? The Scotland jabs aren't recognised in England.
They are taking the mick a bit, aren't they? This is what I said. What's going on with the government? They need to sort this out. This is ludicrous.
You've had your jabs in Scotland. You're not getting any jabs in England because they can't quadruple jab you.
No. So what are you supposed to do?
He's a carer. What's he going to do when the law comes in next February? When, as far as they're concerned, he's got to have had his jabs to be able to work in that industry.
But he's had them, and he's had them in England because Scotland's part of England.
No, it's not. It's a country in its own right.
No, I meant part of the UK, sorry.
Not the UK.
Yeah, I meant part of the UK.
We have
So it shouldn't matter whether you have it in Northern Ireland, England, Wales, or Scotland, because
or Germany.
We're all one. Well, yeah, or wherever in the world, because they're having the same jabs. That was the idea. Everybody was having. So what is all this nonsense?
So his career is now on the line because he had his jabs in Scotland.
So what you're saying, wherever you live, you better get the jabs because otherwise it might not be recognised wherever else. So if I had like a holiday in Australia and I got a chance to get my booster, it's no good getting it there because if I come home, they're going to say, well,
Yeah.
And like you said, you can't have another one.
It's political madness. It is absolutely red tape ridiculous. That is the type of thing that I don't understand with any government. Never mind Boris. I just can't comprehend it at all.
No, why don't they just take that off? That if you've had your jabs, you've had them. It shouldn't matter where you've had them because they're worldwide. They've gone all over the world, these Pfizers and these AstraZenecas and these Modernas. So it shouldn't matter where you are, providing you're jabbed.
I don't know what's going to happen to that bloke now and his career.
Oh, that's just sad, isn't it? So there's a warning out there, folks. Wherever you are, whatever country you're in, make sure you get your jabs there. Don't be doing it somewhere else.
Definitely, definitely. And if you're going to work in another country, just bear in mind that your jabs won't be recognised if you are residing there for any length of time. I'm not particularly bothered about what other people do, apart from wearing masks. That's the only thing that annoys me. But what other people do is no concern of mine. As long as me and my family are following the rules like we always have throughout throughout lockdown. I don't really care what anybody else is doing.
Well, it bothers me when you're supposed to be a leader, because it's part of your integrity, isn't it, as a leader? You know, if you're telling people to do something,
he's not the only one that's broken rules.
Sorry?
Not the only one that's broken rules, though, is he? You know, around the country.
Oh, no, I'm not saying he is, but you're a leader. That's what you're getting paid by the people to look after the people. So surely, you know, you should be. It's a bit like a footballer doing something. You know, you have a certain responsibility when you're in the public eye, aren't you? And if you want people to follow you, then, you know, if you start doing these silly things, these little mistakes, you're going to end up with anarchy like what we're getting with the mask wearing and everything else, because they think, well, you're the leader, you're telling us we have to do this, but then you're not doing it, so why should I do it? It's not giving the right message as a leader, is it?
It was on TV yesterday. He was in a classroom in a school. I didn't have a mask on, but he was sat down. The rules in the schools are, if you sat down, you don't need to wear a mask. It's only in the moving about communal areas where you need to put a mask on.
I don't know. It doesn't make sense, a lot of it, to me, because if you're in a closed environment and there's more than like 5 people with you, or even 2 people, you should be wearing a mask, especially with this one, because they already know this Omicron is highly infectious. It's more infectious than the Delta, and we look how much we struggled. I mean, what do you think is going to happen, in your honest opinion? I reckon a month down the road, we're going to be in serious trouble. I reckon it's going to. But I reckon now he's put his hands up and he said, you know what? You guys get on with it. Do what you want. I'm going for herd immunity now.
I think as long as I'm doing what's best for me, for my mum, for my sisters, for my dad, for Lee, you know, for my immediate family that I see on a daily basis, as long as I'm doing what I should be doing, anybody else can crack on. And anybody that goes in Iceland or Co-op that doesn't wear a mask because Iceland or Co-op are not policing it, that's fine. But I'll be wearing my mask and I'll be protecting me and I'll be protecting other people.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe that is what we need to be putting out there, guys. Maybe it's about, you know, being selfless for yourself, in doing what's right for you, and not following everybody else, not doing what the majority's doing. Maybe it's about taking personal responsibility. Maybe that's the lesson here. Definitely. No mind what the Prime Minister's saying or whatever. You know, we're all intelligent human beings. We don't need to be told like sheep, do we? It's taking self-responsibility. This is what this COVID's all about. It's about who's going to, you know, stand up and take responsibility for themselves, and who's just going to be morons and just be selfless.
And how many people have been on the news that have been in a COVID ward because they've either not had the jabs or they've not had the booster, and they've said, you know what, I wish I'd had it.
Yeah. We watched one the other day, at one Michael's age. We were watching online, Mark and I, and he was crying and he said, I didn't take this seriously and I wish now I had, because he hadn't had any of the injections and he was really poorly and he was a young man.
So, me personally, I think if you're doing things that you want to do, you know,
do it safely. Yeah, don't stop doing things, but just make sure you're taking responsibility for yourself.
The thing is, I've been wearing my mask while out and about. Nobody's batted an eyelid. Nobody's looking at me going, why is he wearing a mask when we don't have to? You know what I mean? It's about personal choice, isn't it?
Yeah, personal choice and personal responsibility.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what I always say to everybody, you know, look after yourself and each other.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, that's the only way we're going to beat this, is to start taking self-responsibility.
Definitely. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this edition of Megacast. I know I have, and I know it'll probably give you some food for thought. So,
yeah, remember, our views are only personal. You know, we're not saying it's right or wrong. These are our own personal views, and we're all allowed an opinion, aren't we?
I think everybody's entitled to their own opinion, and you know, we're not asking you to agree with us. We're just putting our points of view.
Put it out there.
Yeah, put it out.
Thought.
Anyway, I'm going now. Bye.
Remember, guys, be bold, be beautiful, and always be unique. I'll catch you soon. Mwah. So what are we thinking, Let's talk a bit about Boris and the current situation.
That's a good idea.
What are we thinking about him now, a year on?
Can we do the intro? Or are we just talking between...
No, do the intro.
Okay. Some things never change.
No.
Yeah. Hello, it's only me, and welcome to another edition of Megacast TV. Because I'm like you, I very rarely go very far, but mainly because I've been the words are out of my head.
Struggling with your own disabilities?
No. As you know, I don't go very far mainly because I've been shielding, not because I've been told to shield, but because I've chosen to shield.
And this would be mainly, and I'm not being awful, but it's mainly.
Here's your reminder. Zoom meeting with Donna and the team.
It's mainly for the rich and famous, let's be honest. The people that want to go to exotic locations in the summer. 1 minute, Jake. You'll have to cut this out.
Zoom meeting with Donna and the team.
Now, this is going to be really controversial because this is going to be really controversial because Motsi Mabuse, who is a judge on Strictly Come Dancing.
Megacast TV, your channel of choice. Please like, share, and subscribe.